Welcome back to another episode of Sal and Pals Go to the Movies. I'm here with my friend Touly. Say hi, Touly.
Hey, guys.
And today we're going to be reviewing the movie Arctic. And just a fair warning, there's going to be spoilers up ahead, so you've been warned. A man is stranded in the Arctic after an airplane crash. He must decide whether to remain in his relatively safe makeshift camp or embark on a deadly trek through the unknown in hopes of making it out alive. Let's start off by introducing the director of this film. His name is Joe Penna, better known as Mystery Guitar Man on YouTube. He started on YouTube in 2006. This is his first feature film that he directed. Joe Penna and Ryan Morrison wrote this film together. Ryan Morrison actually edited. I went to see this movie in my local Landmark theater, and I saw it in the morning, and that night they had a Q&A. I couldn't stay for it because I had work, but it was actually a Q&A with the director. Now let's talk about the cast. I'm pretty sure Touly thinks this list is really long. It's actually just two people as the cast. There's Matt Milkinson, who plays Overguard, the guy who was stranded at the airplane crash. The next person, Maria Thelma. She plays one of the pilots who tries to rescue him in a helicopter, and the helicopter crashes. So there's two people there. One of them dies, and Maria is wounded. She's being taken care of by Overguard. Now, Matt Milkinson, for me, I know him primarily from a few movies. First of all, Doctor Strange. I know him from the recent movie Eternity Gate with William Dafoe. Other people know him from the NBC series Dr. Hannibal Lecter, and I'm pretty sure game people know him from his relationship with Kojima, and because he's going to be working in the new game Death Stranding. With that, I'm going to start off my review with my pros. This movie, to me, I really enjoyed the cinematography. It was a really nice place they were filming at, and it really opened up the movie because most of the scenes were shot in the interior of the airplane or in a cave, but at the same time it was balanced out with wide shots of the exterior, which I really enjoyed. And at the same time, that actually brought it home by saying, like, look, this is what he's actually dealing with, like death is stalking him. The other thing, the plot, to me, the story, it was so simple, but yet it still worked. It carried its weight. I'm not saying the story was really strong or the character was super strong, but at least it really got me hooked. To me, it just seems like his character was struggling in every step he took. Something really bad happened and he just kept going and tried to pull through it. For me, that's one of the good points about this movie. Really minimal dialogue, which got you focused more on the elements of the exterior elements of the film, and also every little minute object that was inside the film. Dialogue was minimal, so it kind of basically told you don't listen to what they're saying, just look around, look what he's doing, pay attention to his features, especially his motion with his face, his hands and everything, especially the scene when he had just gotten back to the plane, took off his socks, and we noticed that he had lost two of his toes. It was kind of that impact, like this is like putting it out there, like look what he's been through, it's like he's in the midst of a battle to survive. Now for the only con that I have about this movie, it might be just me picking at it, but it's a continuity error that I spotted. When he gets attacked by the bear when he's in a cave and he puts out the flare, we see a shot of the inside of the cave, and then we see it from the outside. When we see it from the outside, we see the bear standing up, and we see around him. We don't see anything around him, but once morning comes around, Overguard comes out of the cave, and we see him right by the cave touch the handmade sled. It's not damaged or anything, but to me, I was like, why didn't I see that when earlier before when the bear was attacking, we did see an exterior shot? So to me, it kind of bugged me. Maybe, I do understand why. Maybe because the bear, when they had the bear there, they couldn't have it because he would have basically gotten distracted. But at the same time, if it's a movie, you should have had something like that or not even have it close by. So that was the only error that I could have picked at. Other than that, I enjoyed this movie. It was enjoyable. I'm not saying it was a fun movie to watch, but it was a thrilling movie. It kept me, on the edge of my seat. And the ending, we're going to talk about the ending right after Touly tells us what he thought about the film.
So the film for me, in terms of perhaps comparing it to something that I've seen before, is Castaway, which starred Tom Hanks. But the key difference here is the personality between the two films. Whereas in Castaway, I feel that in Castaway there's a lot more of a personality within the film. In terms of, character development, character motivation. This film, Arctic that is, it focuses mostly on the basis of survivability. And I think that's, at least for me as an audience, how I rooted for this guy to want to go on or to live, to get through this harsh condition that he's currently in. Until he came across the lady on the helicopter that, ended up crashing. That was supposed to be his savings grace. I think it wasn't until that moment that maybe they showed a little bit more about his character and that he wanted to at least help out somebody in need in this situation as well. It wasn't just about him. I'm glad that they at least show that, because the movie just throws you into the thick of things. In a lot of ways, it's good and bad at the same time, I feel like, because you don't know where he came from in terms of his background. Did he already have these sort of skills to begin with, or did he develop a couple of them while he was stranded here in this, harsh, cold weather condition? And even then, say that he did survive this somehow, what was he gonna go into the future looking forward to? Stuff of that nature. Like, for instance, say if he had a family to return to, or just some sort of responsibility that he was looking forward to. It was difficult to root for his character in that retrospect, because for the most part, these are the sort of films that we normally would watch, where characters have some sort of drive to keep them going. But here, like I said earlier, it's mostly about survivability. The character just wants to survive. I at least try to just look at the film in terms of that. It does do a good job, though, if you just look at it from that perspective. The struggles that he goes through, what he had to endure or even sacrifice along the journey. I mean, Sal mentioned the minimal dialogue, which, again, very different in terms of just getting to know more about the character. I guess in a lot of ways, the music sort of play to the tone of the film as well. Like, it was what added another layer to the situation that he's in. So, there's that at least. In a way, I feel like you could also get away with not having music as well. Like, if it was just like him, like with nature, and you just heard the harsh, cold wind blowing in the background. I feel like that would have made it that much more realistic too. It could have gone either way. I don't know. It's like I said, it's a very different film, from the typical films that I watch. But at the same time, I did feel gravitated towards the situation. A part of me wanted to find out just what happened to this character, regardless of whether or not I knew about who he was or where it would lead him to if he got out of this situation. So, at least the movie hooked me on that idea. The way I ultimately feel about this film is, even though I would recommend it to people, I don't feel like it's one of those films where maybe I would watch a second time, despite me thinking that it's a good film. Like, normally when I recommend a movie to somebody, it would be like a sort of work where I would watch maybe one or two more times myself. But at the same time, this film, it offers a different take on how you could still produce, or how you can make a movie that is good, but at the same time be different enough. It just gives you a different perspective on how you can approach a film that focuses on just surviving a harsh condition. That's why I brought up the comparison to Castaway. If you just strip away maybe elements that aren't necessary when it comes to a survival film, then I think that's what you would get in terms of Arctic. But you want more character development, more background, stuff of that nature that you would expect from a film, then that's kind of sort of where, Castaway would come in. Overall, I enjoyed the Arctic.
Okay, so that's I feel the same way you do. It's a one-time watch. I enjoyed the aspect of the movie. It's one of the best survival movies that I've seen of lately. Saying that, I would not go tell people to watch it at home. I actually would tell people, if you want to watch it in a theater. It's more of a movie that plays well in theaters versus at home. One time is good enough for me. I really enjoyed, like I said, the minimal dialogue of the movie. And like you said, without the music, it would still actually make it, I think, like you said, make it more stronger, because the wind itself and the elements outside, like knocking on the door, it's like death coming for him, and it brings it home. So I think that played a lot to his character. And also the point that I want to make is that he actually had the chance of leaving her behind. The first time where he had the deviation in the road, where he had to climb over a steep little mountain, on the other side it was smooth sailing. So he could have basically left her behind and kept going. But like you said, it plays to his character that he wanted to, help somebody else. So he took the risk of going the long way. It just basically makes it a deeper film without understanding where the character comes from. For me, I don't need to know where he's coming from or what happened before, just that at that precise moment, at that instant, what is he doing? That's what I felt the movie was telling me, because it just threw me into it. Didn't tell me how it happened or where he came from. It just threw you right into the story, like boom, there he is, he's surviving. So it's like that's chapter 1 right there. Okay, so with that said, how about we give it our grade? And I'm going to ask you this at the ending, and this is a spoiler for people who haven't seen it, when they're laying down and he gives up because the last helicopter that he saw left and he thinks it's gone, it lands right behind him. Do you think that he died or he survived?
I would give the film a 6.5 out of 10. In terms of whether or not he died or not, the way I would look at it is more from the idea of, did I want him to have lived? Just going back to what we have talked about, there's very little motivation for me to otherwise want him to have survived, other than him having gone through this experience itself. Like I said, what is his drive to keep going other than just wanting to live? If there was like a home for him to return to, a family for him to return to, that's why the woman who he was trying to help out, that I think that's why she played a crucial part for me. Because if she wasn't there, or somebody who wasn't there in the film who he wanted to help out, then I feel like whether or not he survived in the end did not matter too much to me. But the fact that he was trying so hard to not just help himself but this other lady as well, that wanted me for him to survive. So from that view, I would like to think that he survived, because I just wanting him to, if that makes any sense.
So I'm going to give it a 7 out of 10 for me. And I believe that he actually, this is going to sound morbid, but he died, but he achieved his goal of having the girl survive because she had a family. What motivated him was that, to save her or help her was not that she was just a human. Once he saw the picture that, of her family and everything, maybe like you said, we don't know about him. He probably has a family, he doesn't have a family. He was okay living in or just surviving there as he had it. He had food, enough food, he had shelter, he had his route every day. But just the new element of her still being alive, but still having somebody else waiting for her, it drove him to, help her out to the point where it didn't matter if he died. And at the end, I think he did die, but looking at it, she survived. It's one of those stories that someone dies and someone survives. So that's what I think. I saw it. Maybe I can be wrong. The only person that knows might be the director or the actors. With that said, let's wrap this up. This concludes the review for Arctic. Please join us next time when we're going to review Happy Death Day 2. And please, Blumhouse, make it good. Social media is down in the description. And hit us up if you have any questions. And remember, keep watching movies.